everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here today. I hope that you are as well. Come on in. If you have registered for the Unplugging from Your Business Without Losing Momentum Founders Check-in for August, then you're in the right place. We're so excited to have you. You know, August is one of those months where a lot of people have actually unplugged a bit or they're slowing down a bit. And so wasn't really sure if we should do this, but we also want to be able to provide you with the kind of content that you can use. As you know, our founders check-in happens every first Thursday of the month, and we've been doing it now for almost a full. We're going into like more than 6 months now, I guess, and we're going to continue to do it. We're excited about the next year, and we do this because it's sort of your monthly dose of strategy. So, welcome to the Unplugging from Your Business Without Losing Momentum Founders Check-in. My name is Kerry-Ann Powell. I am the founder of Trafalgar Strategies and a business strategist. So, running a business, we know that running a business can sometimes feel like managing a chaotic tornado, right? So, here at Trafalgar Strategies, we help business owners run their businesses smoothly so they can thrive, not just in business, but also in life. Got a short video that I want to show so that it can give you a sense of who I am, what we do here. And just so you sit back for a bit, it's very short, but it gives you a sense of what we do. Organizers and hosts, particularly those that are catering towards industry, because they have to elegantly balance between the needs of the audience, SMEs, and Fortune 500s. And that is no easy feat. My area of expertise is in business strategy, and I work primarily with smaller companies. And I believe we have to first acknowledge that they have a unique set of frustrations that are very different even within the same industry. When I'm speaking, I like to carry the audience on a 3-step journey. I offer a bit of humor so they can begin to see that they're not alone in this topsy-turvy world of business that they're in. This peace of mind elevates them above the day-to-day so they can begin to envision what their business could look like, implementing new strategies and ideas. And then finally, provide practical tools that they can implement immediately with their teams. I mean, in the end, isn't that what we're all here for? Looking for a way to thrive? In the end, isn't that what we're all here for? Looking for a way to thrive. And I really believe that as I've talked to so many small and medium sized business owners, and that's primarily we work with. So, just so you know, I'm not alone here. We've got a great team of folks that are behind the scenes. If you have been on our founders check ins in the past, Edgar's behind the scenes doing all our slides. So, let's thank Edgar for all the work he does for us. And of course, Lovely is in the chat. You will see she's using my profile. So if you see me posting and commenting, it's not actually me, it's Lovely. So we want to thank Lovely and Edgar for all they do to produce our Founders Check-in. We also have 2 other team members that we've brought on board recently that we want to introduce you to, Nikolai and Carla. So they'll be floating around there. They're just sort of learning a bit more about what we're doing here, but let's welcome them as well. So now that we've done that, let's jump into the topic at hand. Okay. So, oh, by the way, thank you, Edgar, for reminding me. If for some reason, as always, if you would like to have a 30-minute conversation with me to sort of go through your strategic plan or how you have your business structured, feel free to schedule something. We have put the link in the chat for a conversation with me to go through your strategic plan. If you don't have one, I can help you sort of begin the process of creating one. And because that's really important. That's really, really what we sell here in terms of not sell, but sell, yes. But also we promote this concept of small and medium-sized business owners having strategic plans in place so that they could be able to run their businesses smoothly and thrive at the same time. So you'll see that in the link, but let us move forward in the topic at hand, unplugging from your business without losing momentum. So listen to these statistics. 70% of small business owners work during the holidays. 70%. And I know you're not surprised because they do it. 70%. That's from the Small Business Trends. That's what the report that was done by them. Now, 85% of small business owners work during vacation. So they take vacation, but guess what? They are still working on vacation. That is crazy. You know what happens when you work on vacation and you don't work through the holidays? You begin to get burnt out because there's no part of you that's rejuvenated. You don't have that opportunity. So you get burned out. And guess what happens? Of all the percentages of different reasons why businesses fail, guess what? 19% of those businesses that failed because of owner burnout. That's a report that came out of US Bank. So this is not something to really play around with. As a matter of fact, owner burnout is one of the top 4 reasons why businesses fail. So it's really, really, really important for us to sort of, address this issue of unplugging from your business. Okay, so let's think about this. Why do we actually do this? It's not because, I know some people just love working and they feel weird about not working. And those are a few people, but most business owners went into business because they wanted some freedom and they wanted some financial freedom as well as time freedom. But now they have this crazy job where they cannot walk away. So why can't they walk away? Because they feel like the business is going to implode. I'm telling you, I talk to business owners every day of my life. And this is the number one reason. They just feel like the business is going to implode if they walk away or unplug. And so I get it. I totally get it. So I'm not saying that your fears are not relevant. And I would say if you're in the chat right now, type in whether or not this is the main reason why you don't walk away or don't unplug as much as you would like. Just sort of type yes, I'm unplug. And if there's another reason why you don't walk away or you don't unplug as much as you would like, then why don't you put that in the chat as well? I don't unplug because this. I don't unplug because that. Obviously some of it might be because you might be worried about sales, or you might be worried because you can't really, manage the business without being able to, be there or be connected to it. Or maybe you are the one working in the business providing the service and you can't unplug there. But if you do have a reason why you don't unplug as much as you want to, I'd love to hear it. Just type it in and we'll just stop the thing once we keep going. But the boom, and the whole idea of it imploding is really one of the main reasons why people don't walk away as much as they would like. So let's address this issue of how do you walk away? The more valuable you are in your business, the less valuable is your business. I'm going to say it again for the cheap seats in the back. The more valuable you are in your business, the less valuable your business is. I think it was Ryan Deese that I heard say this, and I remember thinking such truth. And I know a lot of times you feel like, well, no, I'm the brain of the business. I'm the person who's the smart one. I'm the talent in the business or whatever. But here's your reality and your truth. So the more you have to be in the business in order for it to function, is the less valuable it is. So I just want to sort of operate from that context. And if you don't believe that to be true, then I would like for you to just sort of suspend your own belief and think about it from this perspective as we move through the conversation today. Can you promise to do that? Just say yes in the chat. Yes in the chat. By the way, I want to make sure everyone can hear me. I should have done this earlier. If you can hear me, just kind of chat yes too as well. So anyway, so you have this more concept, right? How do you want the business to be more valuable? The next thing we want to be thinking about in this context is, what exactly is it that you really want in your business? Because that's really what changes the whole conversation. what do you want? Some business owners are like, look, I am good. I'm rejuvenated. I'm healthy. I can step away if I can just be able to, know like have maybe I'll touch in one time during the time that I'm away or whatever that looks like. But you really want to know, what do you really want for your business? You may be one of those people who are like, look, I want to be able to have 4 6 weeks of long of vacation in the year. So whatever it looks like for you. So what do you want in the business for yourself when you said you were going to start a business? Then sort of, what do you want for your life? What is your life plan, your purpose, your mission, your vision? What are the things that are really, really important to you? And how does that structure into, particularly this question? You might be saying, well, what does my life plan have to do with anything? Because if you are an owner operated business, that is an important part of understanding your business. Because if your life plan is not aligned with your business vision, you are really in some trouble. So what is your life plan? And then what is the business vision? Okay. So the business vision is what is the purpose of your vision of your business? What are your values? And what is the core strategic goal that you have, say 15 years out? And once you sort of look at that and then look at your life plan and how you want what you want, if those things do not mesh, what do you tweak? You don't tweak your life plan, you tweak the business vision. So you go in and sort of figure out, okay, well, based on how I want to live my life, based on what I want in my life and what my purpose and vision and mission is in my life personally, then I need to tweak this in the business vision so that it can align more with that. Okay. So here's some bottom line. Unplugging looks different at each stage of the business. The majority of my clients actually have teams already and they're sort of moving along in their businesses. And so even though they're small and medium sized, they still have quite a bit of momentum going. But some of you may be solopreneurs still, and you're in that stage where you're doing the work yourself, everything. So it's a different stage of business. Yeah. So you maybe unplugging looks very different than if, some of my clients who have team members of 10, 15, 20 people. But either way, the question still remains, how do you unplug? But you just want to make sure you recognize that unplugging looks different for each stage of your business. Also, an emergency is an emergency, right? We're not talking about, you unplugging and never ever connecting around emergencies. But here's the thing. I want to encourage you to think about what's an emergency in your business and be able to, that requires you to actually attend to, and know that your team is attending to it as well. So whatever the emergency is, you need to be able to know, okay, this here is an emergency that I will have to attend to. If this happens, here's some, I want you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. If that doesn't work, call me. Right. And know that your team also knows what that means, so that we are very clear. If it's an emergency, it's an emergency. Life happens. So there's stages of business, and emergencies are emergencies. Those are the primary things we want to be talking about as we talk about what the next steps want to be. So let's dive in. Okay. So next slide, please. So there are two types of unplugging. There's business related unplugging. Okay. That's sort of, say you're going to a conference. Okay. You have a conference that you need to attend. That would also be you unplugging. So you need to be able to attend this conference, be focused. Either you're speaking or attending, whatever the case may be. You don't want to be like in the hallway doing this or on the phone, right? The next thing would be a offsite client work. So maybe you are operating in your business also as a provider of service. Many of you are service-based businesses. So if you have offsite client work, you don't want to be, no way, be walking away from your client in a corner, calling, writing down all those things. And then also the third one would be if you have outside meetings and events. Okay. And this is sort of like, maybe you're in the process of trying to get funding for your business. So you're having meetings with investors. Maybe you have a big investor in the business who's having a nice, maybe they own an island somewhere. You're going to the island in order to network and so forth. And you're having an outside meeting. You do not want to be that owner who's out there can't be present, can't network, can't go to these events because you're on the phone dealing with things that are not emergencies. So these are business related unplugging events. Then you have personal and more rejuvenating unplugging events. Vacation is one, okay? Vacation is the biggest one. Um, you deserve to have a vacation. You actually need a vacation, okay? And how long a vacation is up to you, but again, I'm recommending try to start increasing your vacation time as time goes on. I think 4 weeks is a good time for you to be able to, rejuvenate. And if you want to expand to 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, but we do want to get you to a place where you really are having long-term vacation. So vacation is a unplugging event that's personal. Also, you have a family emergency. If something happens to your family and you are in the hospital dealing with a major problem, or you have a family, you have to fly to your parents because they're having a problem, you don't want that. You don't want to be having to now go back and be dealing with what's happening in work. You want to be present for your family so that you can be able to get things done. And then the last thing would be any sort of personal commitments that you might have. Okay. Now, personal commitments can be anything from, you have a wedding to attend and you guys are going away for a wedding weekend in Switzerland, or maybe you have a funeral to attend, or maybe you are a part of a fraternity and you have always have this thing, and maybe you have your college reunion. These are personal commitments that if you can't go to these places without having to always be tied to your phone, then that's a problem as well. So you have business related unplugging, and you got personal related unplugging. So, okay, so now let's think about this. How do you actually, what is the process of unplugging? Well, first, we want to book things early on the calendar. As soon as you know something's happening, have it on the calendar. Also, start thinking, sitting down with your team and looking at the calendar a year out and saying, what do we have? And if you know you want to be doing vacation time, put that on the calendar. If you know that you want to be attending certain conferences, put those on the calendar. If you know something is happening, put them on the calendar way ahead of time. Okay. And then secondly, what you want to do is map out what projects that are going to be going on in your business during the time that you're going to be away. So not just projects, if there are cyclical things that happen in your business, if there are just things that you know that you need to be aware of, let's put that on the calendar and start having some conversations around how it's going to work. Thirdly, communication. You need to have exceptional communication with your team, moving and leading into the time that you're going to be off. I mean, what's going to happen when this happens? Making sure everyone's on track, making sure whatever client fulfillment, financial business stuff, operating stuff, sales stuff is happening and it is working well. So we all are clear. Exceptional communication is the name of the game here. And then the last thing I want to say is empowering team members as part of your normal operations in your business. So it's not just when you need to leave, right, or unplug, you're now giving them the processes or how you're going to do. How do you actually empower your team? So say, for instance, someone is going to do something in your team, one of your team members is going to do something in your business that you are the one who normally does it. Here's some ways to do it. You first want to tell them, verbalize that. You want to show them how it is done. Then you want to do it together. Okay. Then you want to be able to have them do it on their own while you're monitoring. And then you want to give feedback afterwards and also some real good encouragement. This is the process of learning. You know it. I know that you know this, but I'm reiterating it to you because sometimes we get so busy and it's like, here, do this, get this done. And you don't really sit down and say, does that person know what it is that I'm asking of them to do, particularly if it's something that you would normally be doing in the business. Okay. All right. So here are the 4 things in a slide. Book things early on the calendar. Map out what projects that would be in the time that you're going to be, out. ensure that there's exceptional communication leading up to that, and just making sure that you're empowering your team so that they know how to do the thing that you're asking them to do while you are gone. And you know what? If you do that, then maybe you don't have to do it when you get back, because now you've delegated an entire decision making. It's not just this, it's not just doing a task, it's also delegating the power to make decisions in the business. Yeah. Okay. So that's the process of unplugging. But there are some things fundamentally that really need to happen for you to be able, because I know you're thinking to yourself, well, Kerry-Ann, that sounds all great and wonderful. But the truth is, I still don't really have the capacity to be able to unplug. And I get that. There's some things that need to happen. One, you need to have an automated things as best you can. Automate things in your business as best you can. Automating basic things like if I'm assuming we all have bookkeepers. I've been preaching this since I've been doing the founders check-in. But if you don't have a bookkeeper and you're the one doing a lot of the sort of financial stuff in the business, accounts payable, accounts receivable, automate that stuff. Okay. Anything that's automatable, automate. Anything that's automatable, automate. You also want to systematize these things. Anything that you can say, this is how we do things here. This is what we do when we have a client conversation. This is what we do when we have a sales conversation. This is what we do when we are whatever. And look, don't feel any shame about it. There are a lot of things in our business that we haven't systematized quite yet, but we are in the process of some of those things. Do the big ones first. Yes, do the big ones first, then start with the smaller ones. But we want to have some systems in place. And then thirdly, you want to hire key team members. And what I mean by that is, as you begin to build your org chart and fill in your org chart, start looking at the people that in the organization that could do your job, not just your executive assistant, not just other people, but you want people who could actually do your job. Now, one of the things that I've really been that I push a lot of my clients to do is hire chief of staff or a chief operating officer. A lot of times they're like, well, Kerry-Ann, I'm too small to hire a chief of staff. And once they start getting them in, I have a client who just recently hired a really strong chief of staff. And she, for the past 6 months, I think has probably been traveling for 3 months. Obviously she is traveling for pleasure, but she does stay a little connected to the business. But she's traveling to really amazing places around the world, Indonesia, parts of Africa, parts of Asia, parts of Europe. She's doing a really great job because she knows she now has a strong chief of staff who's managing things in the business. So really start thinking about bringing that on board as well. Okay, so you've done that now. You're sort of created sort of fundamental things. What I have found though, so these are things that you can do right now to be able to start unplugging. But what I have truly honestly found is that that it's a broader question, a broader conversation around unplugging from your business. To me, if you cannot unplug from your business, it is a symptom of chaos in the business. And so it goes back to fundamental things of the methodology that we teach here at Trafalgar Strategies, which is the big idea methodology, which has 8 components of things that we really believe that each small and medium-sized company must put into place and build into putting those things into place in order to have a strong business where there's no chaos, where you can thrive and you can walk away without feeling like it's going to implode. The first element really are the foundational elements, okay? You may be thinking, well, of course I have foundational elements. I've got a business plan, I've had this, whatever. This is the chart or the image that sort of gives you the sense of all of the things you need to be thinking about for your foundational elements. So you may have these in place or you may not have these in place. But what I want to recommend to you is for you to begin to think about the 5 elements that I'm going to sort of bring in. These are the big boxes that come out of the center big box. The first one is, I mentioned it earlier, the owner's life plan. This is a hill I'm going to die on. If you don't think it's important, you go ahead. But I'm just saying, it's really important for you to know what you want in your life. Look, a business is an entity outside of yourself designed to generate business, to generate value for you, your stakeholders, meaning your business, your employees, your customers, your investors, yourself. So if you don't have a plan and you know what you want in your life, then you're running a business all willy-nilly, and if it's an owner-operated business, you don't know if it's actually serving the value of you, right? So it's important for you to sit down and sort of think about, what do I want? What do I really, really want? Secondly, you want to have the business vision. That goes back to the thing. I do a lot of teaching on this. And lovely, if you can find the link for the strategic planning founders check-in that we did, go ahead and put that link into the chat, because I really think it helps you. Once you have a business vision, meaning your values, what is your purpose of the business, and what is your core strategic goal. Here at Trafalgar Strategies, our purpose, we always say, is we're in the business of helping businesses thrive. So your purpose is really short, pithy statement that allows you to sort of encapsulate what it is that you do. And it's not about elevators pitching. It's about you knowing what it is that you do for sure. So then when you're thinking about how you move the business forward strategically, you know what your purpose is. So, and then of course, your core strategic goal is something that's a bit more lengthier, but it allows you to understand where you want to have this business in the next 15 years. What region do you want to be operating in? What's your revenue goals at that point? What do you look like for your employee teams? Like, what is this really going towards? So you have due north, something you're pointing yourself before. The third thing you need to be focused on is the state of the business. I sort of conglomerate everything in the state of the business as documents and ideas and concepts that identify what your business really is. Of course, a business plan, which I'm sure the majority of you have that, but also what's your exit strategy? A lot of people are like, exit strategy, I'm still building. But if you had an exit strategy, you would know what it is, what kind of company you want to be building. Yes. So your exit strategies are really important, that process. And also, being able to sort of figure out what the next step of the business really is. So in the chart that I showed you earlier, the image of all those little bubbles coming off of that, those are the things that we really help clients really go through and figure out, okay, all these, checking the box of all these things. Do we have that? Do we have this? Do we have that? Okay. And that's the one at the bottom right of that particular image. Okay. All right. So now you have your life plan, your business vision, and the state of the company. The next thing is your business model. Now, I know you might be saying, well, Kerry-Ann, that I know I have because I've been operating in my business. Yes, and yes, and maybe not. So you want to think about what your ideal business model is. You may think you're in the insurance industry, but maybe, I like to hear the story of people like when Starbucks began to realize that they actually were not in the coffee making industry. It's not a coffee shop. That Starbucks was really in creating a third space industry, creating a space where people can come and be able to spend time outside of their home and their work. So when they sort of, identified that to be true, then they operated from a different place as to how they operate. Obviously, they could be selling anything in Starbucks and it still be the Starbucks business model. Oftentimes, McDonald's considers themselves to be a real estate company, not a hamburger joint, because all of their buildings, they own the buildings that the franchisors, franchisees have. They have to pay rent to, and I think be able to purchase, I'm not really sure, to McDonald's. So they actually really are in the real estate business. So what business are you in? And then whether or not, and if you identify what business you're in, what's your ideal business model, maybe your business model right now isn't actually working. You need to tweak it. So those are the sort of things that we talk a lot about with clients. So like, okay, what's your business model? Is it working? How can you tweak it and be able to go from there? And then the last one is your product formulation. That's a whole process of how you formulate your product. How do you come up with ideas? Is there enough of a market for it? You may be saying, hey, one of the problems I can't do is get away is because I'm always having to sell. Maybe the way that your product is formulated isn't the best way. Maybe, maybe the need, may not have a strong enough need for your product. And it's all around sort of understanding what the need is. And do you have and also if your current products are working, what's the next need for your customers, right? So that's all the stuff that we work on for product formulation. These are the fundamental elements that we really focus on in your business and make sure these are tight and solid. If you have those tight and solid, it gives you a better chance to be able to have a smoother organization, and you are more likely to be able to walk away. So the second thing is leadership. So inspired leadership. If you're a strong leader, one of the problems I think with leaders in businesses because we actually weren't born leaders. You don't just come out of the womb as a leader, right? So a large part of this is understanding whether or not you are leading and leading well. So there are three components of leadership that I like to sort of focus on. One is the leadership of oneself, okay? That is being able to say you're going to do a thing and do it. So, yeah, today I'm going to go work out and do it. That could show up in your personal life, and it could be show up in your individual personal life within yourself as a leader or love running an organization. So today I'm going to, have 5 conversations with potential investors. So leading oneself, leading one's team, okay? How you lead your team is a really important aspect of it. Again, we're not all born leaders. So guess what? Pick a book up. All the leaders, all the great leaders that we follow and we respect developed leadership skills. It's a skill you can learn. There's no such thing as, oh, he was born leader. Yeah, he learned some skills. All right. So leading one's team, how you are leading your team, are you providing them the tools necessary? Are you giving them the strategic vision to be able to follow you? Are you being respectful? Are you, honoring their giftings? That is really important. And then leading one's organization. So here you're talking about how are you being the strategic leader in your business? Are you leading them strategically? Are you even hiring well? Do you have an organizational chart? Right. So all of these three things really sort of go into inspired leadership. People will run through doors if they believe that they're really have a strong leader. So we want to make sure that you are identifying your leadership and being able to strengthen them. So what's one thing, but the third thing that you want to be thinking about is rock star team. And I really believe that, I feel like I have a rock star team, but the rock star team is because first you hire well, self-motivated people who really are excited to be a part of something bigger than themselves, but then also that you are providing them all the things that they need to be able to bring their giftings to bear. Okay. One of the things that I notice about, leaders and how they hire, they sort of hire early days, small businesses, they'll hire based on personality. Oh, cousin Susie, this, whatever. And here's the thing, you can hire based on potential, but in the end, you really do want to be building an organizational chart based on function so that the people that are in your positions and in your company really do have a role to play. They're operating at their highest abilities, and that they are, being able to thrive and do things that they really enjoy doing, but do things that they're actually qualified to do. Okay. And then, of course, there is the strategic creation. We talked a lot about this earlier, but if you have, creating a strategy, if you don't have a strategy, okay, then it's like a rudderless ship. You don't really know where you're going, what's the direction of the company. It doesn't provide strategic priorities and plans help you really have a direction and outline some measurable goals. And if you don't have that, then there's no, what are we doing? It also helps people connect their day-to-day decisions, their day-to-day actions to an actual goal. So if it's executed well, you'd be able to evaluate the progress of what the things that you're doing on day to day if you have a strong strategic plan. I think really of a truth, I was telling a story. I think I posted it the other day on in LinkedIn, and I was with a friend. We were sort of, I happen to be really good at directions. It just happens to be a thing. I don't own it as something that I do, but it's something that I have. God gave it to me. I'm happy with it. So my friends and family often rely on me to sort of, when we get to places where we don't have GPS, or we're sort of turned around, they sort of rely on me to kind of follow us. Well, we were somewhere a little bit obscure place. It was difficult to get Wi-Fi or data. And we wanted to go to this one cool place that we all heard about. We was like, okay, so my friend and I, we went walking towards the place. It's a little further, a little bit away from town, and so we're on our way. But I really, really, really didn't feel like I knew exactly where we were going, to be frank. And so, but I knew that because of my GPS inside, I would probably have recalibrated at some point, rerouting. But I was really following the path that I knew we were supposed to go on, but I didn't have complete certainty. And I didn't say, she kept asking me if I knew where I was going. I was like, uh-huh, yep, I'm going. I know. But she read my body language. She read my tone of voice. And she was like, at some point, she yells at me. She's like, Kerry-Ann, you don't know what you're going, where you're going. And she turns around and she's like, I'm heading back to town. So, I couldn't convince her. I could not convince her to come to follow me. I'm like, no, I really can get us there. She's like, no, I'm heading back. And we didn't go. So we headed back. We didn't go to the spot. And that's the thing with business too. If you are not, I don't know what the word, if you, even if you pretend that you have a strategic plan and a direction for the company going forward into the future and there's due north, but you don't have it, your team won't follow you. It's hard to follow people who aren't really leading. So it's really important to have a strategy. Now, what's more important is executing that strategy. That's why we call it exceptional execution. Okay. Exceptional execution gets you to 6 to 7% of companies who have really good strategic plans actually don't execute them very well. So it's really a thing. It's called the execution gap. I did a whole thing on the exceptional execution founders check-in. Lovely if you can put that in the chat as well so people can sort of get that link to go back and look at that. This whole process of how you can exceptionally execute. The one thing I'm just going to say is this about exceptional execution. I don't mean perfection. I mean, if you say you guys are going to make 20 sales calls and you only make 15, that is poor execution. But if you make 20 sales calls and 5 of them were really poorly done, that's exceptional execution. The fact that you had 5 really poor sales calls and you're like, oh my God, we just did it. We just sort of bombed that one. That goes back to optimization, optimizing your sales conversations, but exceptional execution is getting it done. So this gets you into optimization innovation. What do I mean by optimization innovation? Optimization is the things that are in your business, you're making them better and better and better and better and better and better and better. Innovation is bringing things into the business, ideas, thoughts, processes into the business that don't already exist, but you're innovating those things into the business, okay? Both innovation and optimization are vital and important in your business. If you do not have optimization and innovation, excuse me, if you don't have these in your company, it's going to stay stagnant and then eventually it'll rot. You must be always moving and flowing through these things. And, again, I don't, we plan to do a whole thing on innovation and how to be innovative in your company. But just one thing to think about is there are many different ways you can be innovative in your company. But one of the first things you always need to have your ear to the ground, what's happening in your business, in your industry, so that you're always being aware of what's happening so that you can innovate. You don't want to be the leading edge, make the big dogs be the leading edge of any kind of innovation, but you want to follow right behind because that is how you become really a strong company. And then once you have optimized and innovated, then you circle everything together with a success mindset. In yourself, cultivate that in yourself and cultivate that in your team. And that to me is what really makes a strong business so that you don't have to worry about stepping away and worrying that it's going to implode, right? You don't have to worry about that boom because you've created a strong business that you could walk away today and it's still run like a well-oiled machine. That's what I want for you. Obviously being able to have a vacation and be able to walk away is a good thing. But what I really want for you is for you to have a strong business in the good times and the bad times, things that allow for you to be able to truly thrive, because in the end, that's what's going to get you to the scale you want. That's going to get you to the goals that you want. That's going to get you to the vision that you want. And that's what's going to allow you to leave a legacy. So really, that's it for today. I know it's a really short one today. Normally we go a good hour, right? An hour and 15. But it's a really short one today because we wanted to just sort of come in and say, look, if you haven't been able to unplug this summer, just try to unplug for a few days. Okay, start small. If you have been able to plug, but you would have wished to have been able to unplug for longer, stretch that out. Or let's be more aspirational. Let's sit down and say, next year, this is how many days I'm going to be out on vacation. This is how many days I'm going to take out for my personal time. This is how I'm going to be doing in terms of my client work, when I'm going to unplug when I go to conferences, and pick a couple of conferences you want to go to and a couple that you're going to speak on, and put them in the calendar. And by the way, speaking about speaking, well, okay, I've got something I'm going to tell you, but before we do that, if you have any questions, put them in the chat now. I'll be happy to answer them as if you have any questions around it. Also, too, identify yourselves. Give me your name, what business you're working, what you guys do. Let's connect a bit more and put that in the chat. But real quick, I am so excited. So write your questions down. I'm going to be answering them. But while you're doing this, real quick, we are very excited because normally these founders check-ins, there's normally just me. Remember, I think a couple months ago, we had Andrew who talked about artificial intelligence. That was really, really cool. But for the most part, it's just me. But guess what? We are going to starting September and moving into this year, we're going to be having more and more guests on. And this year, this September coming, we're going to have Dr. Monica Anderson. We know her as Dr. Mo. She is a TEDx speaker and a speaker's coach. And the topic is going to be how to generate revenue in your business through speaking. We all know that that's a really great way to generate revenue, but so many small and medium-sized companies, owners, do not go and speak and don't go to conferences to speak. And they attend, but they don't go on the stage. And you have all this expertise to offer. And it would be a great way to go to industry events, to sort of bring your ideal client back to your business. So we're going to talk about that. First, we're going to sort of talk about the what's, the how's, the what. And then even if you are not comfortable speaking, Dr. Mo is going to help us understand some things that will allow, Oliver, hi, can you talk more about strong systems as an element of a strong business? Absolutely, Oliver. So your strong systems, I don't know if we went into this a little bit, but so what we're doing here is to make sure that you have strong systems. What we're talking about is, for instance, we talked a little bit about sort of optimizing things. So if there are things that you can optimize in the business, such as your payroll, when you are getting accounts payable, oftentimes, or receivable, oftentimes too, one of my clients, I remember distinctly, like they were literally having to call whenever any was paying late, right? So they're constantly doing that. It took a lot of time from the person who was doing this. One of the things that they began to sort of systemize is really in their system. They automatically charge the late fee. That's in their contracts now. So if they don't pay a certain amount by a certain time on time, they automatically charge the late fee, and then it automatically begins to send out emails saying, you're behind, Also, too, depending upon your business, if you have like obviously like an e-commerce business, then you're sort of just automatically pulling things off of their paycheck or out of their card to purchase the item. But if you have ongoing service projects that you're providing to clients, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, particularly if you're selling into corporate, right? Selling to corporate, they have a net 90 sometimes, and how to be able to, they'll take 90 days before they pay. I mean, one of my clients, it took 12 months for them to pay. So one of the things that we talked about doing was creating systems where you sort of have, okay, this is going to be, 3 months is when there's a deliverable. 6 months is a deliverable. And so you'd be able to sort of break that contract down and then be able to get payment much faster through your systems. So there's lots of other things you can do to make things really more systemized, even to the point where, how do you make a sales call? You have those processes in place, okay? And you just go through, if someone's making a sales conversation, instead of having them create a script again, you have that script right there, and they're clicking a check. Did we do this? Did we greet the person with a smile? Did we greet the person with this particular statement? Did we do this? Did we do that? All of those things can be systemized and put in process so that it's enough. Of course, looky here. You could probably put processes in place for every single thing in your business. What I recommend is to do the big ones. Yep. How you guys get money in the business? How do you get sales? How do you collect your ready revenue in? Some of the big ones are how you fulfill right? I mean, I remember one of my clients, they would like literally when they were fulfilling for their clients. Now, if you, again, if you, for instance, I remember, I think I was talking to a woman who had a pet store, and she was having, she had 5 different manufacturers for all the different products she had in her store. And what we talked about was being able to basically consolidate all those different manufacturers to one so that this it can be systemized more. She can go in, click, okay, here I need to order that and get those things. Systems and processes are the name of the game. That's what gonna get you, Oliver, to scale. And once you can scale, woof, now you're cooking with mustard. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Oliver? Obviously, these are things that are way more complicated, and I would love to have a conversation with you if you would like. You can schedule a 30-minute conversation so I can understand a bit more about your business and be able to talk about what are some systems you can put into place in your business now. And I have, I mean, I have like a plethora of different softwares that I that I often recommend. So, if you would like a conversation, I'd be happy to do that offline. But hopefully that was helpful. Just sort of put a thumbs up or a yes, or if you have any additional questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So anyway, if there are no other questions, if you are, let's go back to Dr. Mo. So I haven't forgot about. I'm really excited about her talk. So if you think that you wanna, if you've been on the fence about speaking, okay, or you have been speaking but you haven't been able to generate money, you want to be a part of this training. You want to be a part of this. So go right now. Lovely's going to put that link in the chat. Go right now and register. Click attend. You want to be at this event because we are going to dive into the real. We're not just talking high level. We're talking real stuff about how to get you generating revenue through speaking, even if you don't consider yourself a speaker. Okay, so go ahead and register. If there are no other questions, Oliver, did you leave us? Did it work? Yes, good. Okay, I'm hoping it. I hope your silence means that that answered your question. But thank you for joining us on our August Founders Check-in, unplugging from your business without losing momentum. We will see you next week with next month with Dr. Mo on the first Thursday of the month at 3 p.m. I think it's the 7th. And other than that, I know that if you're different parts of the world, different parts of the US, school's getting ready to go in soon. Some people still have a whole month of vacation until September. Whatever it looks like for you, enjoy this month. Try to do a little bit of stepping away and just really enjoy what I think is just the beauty of life. So thanks for joining us today. See you next time. Bye, guys.